Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you 3 ways that you can get your first Airbnb property. All right, let's go. So if you're new to Airbnb and you're wondering how you can get your first property, and you may not have what it takes to get qualified for a loan and you'll actually go to a bank and get qualified for a loan to buy a property, these 3 methods you can do without having the highest credit score or a whole bunch of cash needed up front to pay for a down payment to get a mortgage to purchase a property. All right, so the first method that I like is rental arbitrage. So what that is that you find a property to rent. You negotiate the price, whether it's, let's say you negotiate a price for $1,500 a month. You'll take that property, get it furnished, get it ready, list it on Airbnb, and then whatever you make over the $1,500, that'll be profit to you. So it's kind of like a sublease. So what you'll do is get you a, make sure you have an LLC, make sure your business formation is correct, all the right things, all the filings with the states, and then you'll go to that homeowner and negotiate a rental price and let them know that you want to do a corporate lease or a master lease on the property, and then let them know that you're going to be renting it out or putting it on for short-term rental. So make sure you're upfront with these homeowners, these sellers or landlords, and let them know what you're doing up front. You don't want to do anything behind their back, any kind of shady business. Let them know up front what you want to do. So with rental arbitrage, it's an easy method because it doesn't allow you to have a lot of money up front. All you need is maybe like the down payment and first month's rent, and then you need the money to furnish the property. This is a good thing. It does have some risk because you will be liable for any damage caused by the guests. So make sure you have insurance in place. Make sure you have the proper insurance in place to make sure you know that if anything does happen with the guests coming in tearing up the property, you are responsible. So have the right insurance in place. But this is the best thing to do. This is the easiest method out of the 3 methods I'm going to give you. This is the easiest one to do. It doesn't take long to get it up and running. And if you find the right landlord, they may have 1 or 2 more properties, then you can start adding on more to your portfolio. So the first one is rental arbitrage. And I think that's what we do mostly of, rental arbitrage. So that's the easiest way to get your first property. All right, so the next method is lease to own or rent to buy, rent to own. So this is basically it's called a lease option. So you'll find a property, you'll lease it for 2 to 5 years with the option to purchase that property once that lease term is up. Now this is a great way to have ownership in the property. It's a little different from rental arbitrage because your plan is to buy the property at the end of that lease. So this is good for people who may not have the credit right now, but they're working on their credit to get it fixed. So within that 2 to 5 years, you're working on your credit to get it fixed. And at the end of that 5 years, if your credit is up to par, you can go ahead and go to the bank and get a traditional mortgage for the agreed upon price that you and the seller or the landlord has agreed. So you do it the same way, just like you do rental arbitrage. You'll lease it out, then you'll sublease it, put it on Airbnb, and then market it and get the income from that. Now with lease options, what you want to do is make sure that property is in a profitable place, make sure it's in a good location that's bringing in money, because your goal at the end of the lease is to buy the property. So one thing I like to do is negotiate with the seller, with the landlord, to be able to have a portion of that rent or a portion of what you're making, what your income is, to go towards the purchase price. So at the end of that 5 years, if you agreed on $100,000 and you bring in, you agree to put some of that rent towards the purchase price, then that purchase price would be much lower than what you agreed on once you get to the end of that term, if you decide to exercise the option. Another thing with lease options that you have to keep in mind is that some sellers and landlords do want at least a down payment. It's called a deposit. So I like to negotiate it. I try not to put anything down, but some people want you to put something down to just make the deal better. So just be aware that some sellers will want you to put down a deposit, and that deposit on a lease option is non-refundable if you decide not to purchase the property at the end. Now, one thing that may happen is if you did put down a down payment, if you go to a lender, some lenders will honor that down payment and use it towards the down payment you have to pay at closing to purchase the property at the end of that lease term. So lease option is the second best way to get in. It allows you to have ownership, and then you can just rinse and repeat this, and then in a couple of years, a few years, 5 to 10 years, you have 2 or 3 properties under your belt that you own, and you can still rent them out on Airbnb and other sites. So that's the second option, is lease to own. All right, now we're going to get into this third and final option. All right, so we talked about rental arbitrage, lease options. Now this third method is my favorite method. It does take a little bit more skill. It's not as easy as the other two, but this one gives you immediate ownership, and that's called subject to. So the third method is buying the property subject to. So what that means is you're buying that property subject to the mortgage that's in place. So the mortgage will stay in the seller's name, but the property will get deeded over to your LLC or your trust. So you get immediate ownership. You don't have to go to the bank to try to get a mortgage for it, to take over it. You don't have to have a lot of money up front for a down payment to buy the property. All you have to do is negotiate with the seller and let them have you to take over their monthly payments, their monthly mortgage payments, and now the property is in your name. Now, some things you have to think about is that when you take over these properties, it's still in the seller's name. So you got to make sure this property is bringing in money, or make sure that you have that monthly mortgage payment covered, because you don't want to get behind on payments and now you're causing that seller to have negative remarks on their credit score because now you're behind. So subject to is a great way. It helps you and the seller. You may have a seller that's been behind on their mortgage payments and they may be facing foreclosure. So you can come in, catch up those payments, and take over that property. So it's, like I said, it's a little bit more advanced than the rental arbitrage or lease options. But with this, you get immediate ownership. You don't have to wait to the end of the lease to purchase. You don't have to go through a bank for anything. That property automatically goes into your name, so you are the owner of the property. Just make sure you have those monthly payments paid each month. Sometimes you may have to give the seller some money for allowing them to take over the property, or some sellers might be in a bad situation where they're facing foreclosure, and you can help them out by catching up those payments. So it's different ways you would. This method does require a little bit more money because you have that monthly mortgage, and also it may be behind, so you have to catch it up. So it does require a little bit more skill, and I always tell everybody, make sure you close this with an attorney that knows how to do subject to. The paperwork has to be in place, and it has to be done by a knowledgeable attorney that knows subject to. So like I said, that's the final method. It is a little bit harder, but it gives you ownership of that property, and you can do just like you do with all the other two methods. Put it on, furnish it, put it on Airbnb, and start bringing in that income. And just like all the other methods, you just rinse and repeat, and after a while you have 10, 15, 20 properties that you have on Airbnb. So I hope one of these methods is is good for you. You want to sit down and just kind of go through which one you think is the best for you and choose it and just do it. So those are the 3 methods: rental arbitrage, lease options, and subject to. All right, so I just gave you 3 methods. You have 3 methods now: rental arbitrage, lease options, and subject to. You can take these 3 methods, take action, and go get your Airbnb right now and get into this Airbnb game. Now, if you need more help, if you need to know how to set up your business, the right insurance to have, how to furnish the property, how to find these properties, how to talk to the sellers or the landlords to get these properties and get them on Airbnb, you can download my ebook. It's called the Airbnb Arbitrage Playbook. You can go to Amazon, or you can click the link below in the description and go directly to my website. Purchase that book, read it, go through it, and just get started. If you have the information and don't do anything with it, it's no point. So take action, go ahead and get the ebook, and just go out and get started. All right, see you next time.